Amazon Fresh has opened 4 new stores. According to Retail Dive, Amazon Fresh debuted 4 new stores on Thursday, including its first in Northern California, along with additional locations in Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. All of the new supermarkets offer Amazon's Dash Cart, automated grocery carts, and Amazon One, the company's palm recognition technology. The addition of the 4 new stores to the Amazon Fresh fleet brings the grocery chain's store count, sorry, to just shy of 50 locations in 8 states. Ben, you've got a dynamic and rich grocery background. And you're also going to be personally interviewing Claire
Mm.
Peters, the worldwide VP of Amazon Fresh at Grocery Shop. So I'd love to get your thoughts on kind of what you think about these new stores and if Amazon Fresh is a concept that the grocers in the audience at Grocery Shop and listening to this program should be paying attention to.
Yeah, thanks, Jan. I think for me, there's 3 points that I'd like to make on this story. First is at a macro level, it's another piece of the jigsaw that continues to remind us about how difficult it is to build a e-commerce business in grocery without a
Yep.
physical store presence. A couple of months ago we talked about Kroger in California and their pullback. People need to see and get the confidence in your grocery offer for that physical store, and even for Amazon, if they want to be in grocery, they've got to be in physical. And so look, it's going to be one of the big trends we'll talk about a lot at Grocery Shop is kind of the future role of the physical store. But this is another nice bit of that jigsaw. Um, I mean, the second piece is that this is, I think, maybe the third story in the last week and a half about new Amazon developments in grocery. Amazon keep telling us that they're serious and they're not going to leave grocery, that they keep
Yeah.
refining. I think even the most bearish should acquiesce that it's not happened yet. So what have we seen? Last week you talked about the new $99 pass, and I think you guys covered that
Mhm.
really
Yep.
well last week. We've got these new store openings. There's also new news about expanding same day delivery to some of their partner businesses in the US.
Yeah.
Vice Markets and a Metropolitan owned by Good Food Holdings, and I mean that's interesting. This partner project for Amazon Fresh is still small in the US.
Okay.
We've invited both Neil, who's the CEO of Good Food Holdings, and Greg,
Mhm.
who's CIO at Vice, are both going to be speaking at the show because we want to explore it more. But if you kind of go transatlantic, Morrison's, Iceland, and Cooperative in the UK are all on the Amazon Marketplace, on the Amazon
Mhm.
Fresh Any Food. That's like over 30 billion of sales. That's 15% of the UK grocery market in these partnerships. So
Hmm.
the fact that there is still progress on that in the US, even though it's obviously much smaller chains, I think shouldn't disguise us to the scale of Amazon's intent and ambition in this space. But I still think everyone is questioning, what is the master plan for Amazon when it comes to grocery, in or out, and that's the number one. That's the big question that I want to ask Claire Peters during the
Yeah.
interview and see what direction we get on that. When it comes to the new store openings, I mean, these are the latest iterations of the Claire and Tony stores. So
Yep.
yeah, Claire Peters and Tony Hoggett
Tony
joined
Hoggett. Yep.
from Tesco. Claire, I don't know. I'm looking forward to getting to know her, but Tony, I know from his Tesco period, incredible retailer, great operator. So I'm confident that the operations of the stores will be improving. I
Mhm.
haven't got to see one yet. We're looking into the Illinois store in the next week or so and having a look, because the one thing I don't know and I haven't got the insight of is what's the merchandising like.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the product and the merchandising that was probably the Achilles heel. So
Mhm.
where are they on that journey? And that's the question mark. But yeah, I think that the signs are Amazon is still trying to make physical grocery work. But I think the proof will be in the actual product in store. And that's the bit I haven't seen yet.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to hear, like you said, Ben, what Claire has to say and just kind of what the logic is, especially when it comes to like, does this new rollout have to be the blueprint for the rest of the stores, or are they still going to use these stores as kind of a test before they really go full bore in and across the rest of the US? But Chris, what's your thought here? Like, what did you think of? I kind of pushed for this story in the Fast Five this week, but as you've been ruminating on it, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to answer the question that you asked, Ben, I think I'm skeptical of Amazon Fresh, and
Okay.
I'm
How
if
come?
I'm a grocer, I'm not really paying that close attention to it. I think the interesting thing that Ben said at the beginning that I think is fascinating. He said, shows how tough it is to do digital grocery without a physical store presence. I think this also just shows you how tough it is to do physical grocery well, regardless of
Mhm.
your digital offering, right? It's
Yeah.
just hard to build a physical grocery store that people want to shop, which goes back to what is the hook? Why am I shopping these stores? Which I think is the key point here. But there's a couple other things I don't understand too, and like, why is the rollout strategy so disparate? 50 stores across 8 states. If you double click
Mhm.
into this, that seems like the wrong way to go about grocery because scale is the name of the game, as we talk about
Yeah.
all the time on the show. And secondly, why wouldn't you try and take a market that has been doing best with the concept already and try to scale it up?
Yeah.
Which three, honestly, when I think about it in that context, makes me think there isn't a market that's doing well. And this is just an announcement to make it sound like the concept is still relevant at the end of the day, especially given all the headlines like Ben mentioned. So,
Mhm.
yeah, until I see the hook or understand why these stores are different and why I should shop them, I don't know. I'm just not buying it. The point that Ben makes about them being other retailers being on the marketplace in the US is interesting to me. Amazon could go that route, but I think that's a harder pill for the US grocers to swallow potentially than it is overseas. But I don't know. Maybe that's the route they go instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it still comes down to the headline being the technology. Like we're reading about, yes, they're rolling out dash cards and yes, they're doing one pound payment, but we don't hear about like what investments have they made in terms of produce and quality and sourcing and all those things that really, like Ben alluded to earlier, I think that's what really comes down to the success or failure of this concept is the quality consistent? Am I going to go there and find the things that I need? Just the basic elements of physical grocery, like you said, Chris, that we don't hear anything about, and I haven't been able to see yet. That I think is really like a key component to the success of this concept moving forward. And to bring back, what we were talking about last week too, Chris, with like Chick-fil-A, that this is a totally, I think you can go into a QSR concept with like a Chick-fil-A and be like, we're going to be more efficient. We're
Yes,
going to get you in and out of
100%.
here. I don't think that you can apply that same thing to Amazon's grocery stores, which I think is still the leading headline in all of these stories. And that's not going to be enough for the consumers in the country, I don't think.
And your point is really good too, Ann, because I remember when we were rolling out Target's Fresh concept, which was a smaller
Mhm.
scale grocery store, or trying to build Super Targets at the time, because I was still a part of that. It was very difficult to get the quality of products you want when you only have a few stores in a region, because the
Yep.
distributors are not going to prioritize you from a quality of produce and meat standpoint. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Ben, any last words?
I think that the last word is if Amazon wish to get to the scale that they desire in grocery, they are probably going to have to look to an acquisition. That's, I mean, the legislative environment to get that through, considering, we still sat with Kroger and Albertsons slowly working through. Put that to one side. But there is no way that they're going to do that until they are confident that they've got a model that works. And this feels like they're continuing to work on how do we get this physical grocery model to work before we then make the next step of the investment.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think we talked about that the last time you were on too. And the question was like, what national grocer at scale is actually an option for them? There really isn't one either when you get right down to it. So that's a tricky question too.